First, welcome. Welcome to my show from A to Zo. Good morning.
Good morning.
How are you doing?
I am doing great today.
Good. Wonderful. Can you introduce yourself to everyone?
Good morning, everyone. My name is Ryan Robinson. I am a public health advocate, author, blogger, freelance writer, and public health professional. And I am the Chief Operating Officer and CEO of Be Well Over 50 Media Incorporated.
Fantastic. Well, I am very, very lucky to have you on my show this morning. Thank you so much for joining me. So, we're going to get right into, kind of like the reason why we're here. So, I'm starting this show because I'm furloughed. I'm furloughed from the federal government. I am a federal employee. And so instead of stressing about what's going on in the government right now, I really thought it would be a good idea to give some exposure to media professionals, entertainment professionals, authors, musicians, the whole gambit of entertainment. So Ryan is an author. And I just so happen to have his book right here that I've been reading on TikTok. This is Tales of the Blood Seed by R.T. Robinson. I promise you, I will put the link to this in the captions so you all can go to Amazon and purchase this book. It is like a suspense thriller book. Really interesting. Great read. Thank you so much for this.
Well,
So, I kind of want to get into your history. You were in the military. What did you do when you were active duty?
well, I was an engineer officer, and majority of my responsibilities was pretty much engineering construction, where I did project management for military government projects with all around the U.S. and globally. I was also an operations officer where I oversaw some training and development, combat operations, engineered disciplines, things of that nature. But I was also a commander where I oversaw the training and development of civilians, preparing them for deployment, combat, and service of the Army, and training them in development and engineering, combat engineering tactics and discipline as well. And finally, at the end of my career, I ended up being an intelligence analyst where I did analytics for combat operations for overseas missions abroad. So I retired as an operations analyst and started my new career.
And what's your new career? What was your new career after you got out of the military?
After I got out of the military, then I pursued graduate school and became a public health professional.
Public health. So I'm assuming you have an engineering degree since you were an engineering officer.
Mm-hmm.
And then also after you got out of the military, then you went back to college and got a master's degree in public health.
Mm-hmm.
So you have, okay, so it's Ryan Robinson, MPH.
Correct.
Awesome. So I noticed that's also on your social media pages, like your TikTok, your Instagram, Facebook, those types of pages.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Okay. Awesome. And I was going over your Instagram, and you do a little bit of social media management. Can you tell me how you grew your Instagram page to over 150,000 followers without even having to pay for followers? Because some people do pay on Instagram; they pay for followers. But you've grown your page organically. How did you do that?
Well, pretty much what I've done is I followed the law of reciprocity, where all of the content creators within the public health niche or wellness niche. I pretty much, took their videos, I liked, followed, shared, repurposed the videos, and tagged them on it, as well as sent them shout outs for the content that I created that was either related to their topic or just in the field generally. So it gave them an opportunity, if they like my content, they could do the same. And that's been pretty much happened. It was give and share alike. If they like some of the stuff that I wrote, they, tag, follow, or shared it as well. So and it was a community thing, and it just built up, and just the all of the viral content remained viral even after you shared or repurpose it. It was still viral. So it wasn't till maybe beginning of this year where the algorithm changed, so my followership kind of slowed down a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
And to some extent, and it's nature with social media, that sometimes your followers either are interested in other content, or wanting to go on to some other content or something like that nature. But you are bound to lose at least 200 to 500 followers. Just the nature of the beast.
All right. Well, thank you. I appreciate that. Um, so what do you have going on right now? What are you working on right now?
Well, right now I've made a pivot in my blog and in my social media. So right now I am refocusing my theme in all of my articles and my content to reflect social justice and health disparities.
Mhm.
So my content's become, a little bit more controversial than it has been. I think that, in this day and age, in this time, in this environment, I think a lot of people are thriving off for a little bit of controversy, a little bit of challenge, and a little bit of engagement. So my followership is increasing again because people are wanting to see what is it I'm going to write about now next, or what eyebrows I'm going to raise and what I'm doing. So that's what I'm doing as far as my content and my blog articles. But also I am working on my next book. Um,
Oh.
yeah, my first couple books were nonfiction, where I wrote in the public health space, and it was okay, but I really wanted to get into writing nonfiction. So
So is that what you're planning on writing next? More nonfiction books?
yes, it's going to be another international crime mystery, like the Tales of the Blood Sea book you've been reading for me, and I
Okay.
appreciate that.
Yeah, you're welcome. I'm enjoying the book, and I think the people who are tuning into my TikTok lives are also enjoying your book. Of course, scheduling to go live is something that I'm new to, but every day this whole week at 7 p.m., I've been live reading Ryan's book on TikTok. So if you all want to tune in, by all means, tune in. You'll get to hear some of his book. I will discuss, we'll go over who he is as an author, written on the back of his book, and then a little bit about the novel itself. So, I have another question for you. Since you are doing all this writing, when did you decide to become a writer?
Well, it's interesting. I was sitting, writing one of my mini term papers for one of my courses when I was in grad school, and I just got to thinking, like, I'm doing all this writing. I might as well be writing a book. I could take all these term papers, turn them into chapters, and just write a book about it, and then call it a day, because my research and my training already made me a subject matter expert in there. So maybe I should start writing. And then I just decided I was going to write in my field at first to see what kind of traction I would get. And then, after I wrote the first two books, I realized it was kind of difficult to remain consistent because a lot of people are not really, at least from a social media standpoint, are not really interested in education from that
Mhm.
standpoint. They want something kind of entertaining and interesting. If I, just wrote this stuff, like a lot of my articles I write for LinkedIn, that's
Mhm.
that's the type of crowd that I'm providing that information to. So I'll leave all the technical and professional stuff to the LinkedIn people who read my articles, and then all the interesting and controversial stuff, I put on my other sites. But I have posted some of my controversial. My last two articles were a little bit controversial, so I have posted them in the LinkedIn to see what kind of pushback I get.
Have you gotten any pushback?
Not yet, and I haven't been banned, so I guess it's okay.
Well, I hope you stay not getting banned because, that's how you're going to grow your influence, right? Online. We need to make sure that we keep our pages up and running, or, you could always start another page. And I'm sure from the knowledge that you have now growing your Instagram to over 150,000 followers organically, you can do the same thing with any of your other media pages. So, I want to I want to ask you about staying focused because I know for writers it's really difficult sometimes for you've got distractions during the daytime, you've got a wife, you've got a house, you've got dogs, right? Your business partners and other scheduled meetings. Of course, you're a veteran, so I know you have lots of EA appointments and stuff to go to, lots of doctor's appointments to go to. How do you stay focused during the day to continue writing these thriller suspense novels?
Well, typically, they say as you age, you get that ADD and ADHD is real. So what I found is I would start writing on something, and I just write till I get bored of writing it, and I walk away and do something else because there's always a distraction. So if I like have a distraction, have to let the dogs out or something, I go
Mhm.
let the dogs and I come back to it. And if I'm still inspired to write more, I'll write more. If I don't feel like writing anymore, then I'll come back tomorrow and pick up where I left off. So that way you keep your ideas fresh or interesting, or you stay motivated. And sometimes, even when it comes to writing, you got people that are called pantsers who
Mhm.
write by the seat of their pants. So as ideas come along, they incorporate it into their story and they write.
I'm
And
one
then,
of those people.
and then you
I'm
got
I
then you
think
have people that are actually, more structured and organized where they actually do outlines. So I found
are
that
are you one of the structured
I'm a
outline
hybrid.
people?
I'm a
So
hybrid,
you do a little bit of both.
depending on what it is, depending on the topic or the story I'm telling.
Mhm.
I might pants it because outlining will be too confined and constricted to me, and then I won't want to do it because I want to do something else. Or if it's something where I want to keep the focus and keep that story going because there's going to be a climax and something that's going to be real interesting in the end, then I'll go ahead and take the time to plan and outline the whole story. And then that way I'll keep a train of thought. And if for some reason in the next part of the outline I might need to adjust a little something, at least I'll have a way forward to peek and tweak instead of just having to figure out, well, what I'm going to write about today. Well, so
Okay.
It's kind of, yeah, it's real interesting when
So,
you go along the process, but it's good to be on some type of track
so
instead
does
of
the outline process kind of keep you um from having writer's block? And is writer's block even a thing?
like I said, writer's block is pretty much in your mind. You know, if you don't have uh, um, a set path or a set direction,
Mm-hmm.
and you have to go find inspiration somewhere, it's a good possibility that you can get writer's block because you have no idea what you want to write about today. And sometimes people will start something and they won't get back on their project for another 6 months to a year because they just totally distracted from it, or something just, they're no longer inspired. And then later on they'll get inspired to go back and write, or they'll run across somebody that have written something that's related to something that they were writing or related to the project that they started on. And they said, well, let me get back on this project and finish what I started, because this person has inspired me here and showed me what potential outcomes of me finishing this project will be. And they'll get back on it. And then typically once they get back to it, then they'll follow through and finish it. But, sometimes, it just depends on the person and how motivate they are to get that project done.
Okay, so what about you? Have you had any projects that you have kind of set to the side because you lost motivation to complete them? Any novels, or have you started a novel and then just given up on it?
Um, Not really. Everything that I've started, for the most part, I finished. There's been one novel where I wasn't so sure about the direction or my purpose of why I'm writing. And I think that's the biggest question. And the first question you should ask yourself: why
Mhm.
am I writing this? What am I trying to get out of this? What am I what type of benefit am I trying to provide for my reader? Because a lot of times people don't pay for information, they pay for solutions, they pay for outcomes. So if your solution is a health driven solution, then people that's looking for that solution will pay for that, be interested. If it's an entertainment type outcome, then it's just a matter of making sure that you are writing for the right audience and finding out what it is that people in that audience are really looking for. So I use like different AI software that will answer those questions for me. Like there's one called Ask the Public or Ask the People.
Mhm.
And I'll ask the question, what type of things, are people in this audience looking for? Or I might even go to, a search engine chat like, Perplexity or Claude or something like that. And ask the question, they'll give me a roundabout answer for me to go and deep dive into to get the specific. Because me, I'm a detailed person. I like the specifics about certain things, and
Okay.
I'm very cognitive of how I spend my time now. Because I got more behind me than I got ahead of me. I don't know how much I got left, but I'm going to maximize it and leverage it to the best of my ability to make sure
Absolutely.
that I not only benefit myself, but I'm giving my readers what they want.
Okay. That is wonderful. Thank you. So I have a few more questions for you. Um, who's your dream publisher?
Actually, I don't have a dream publisher because
Why is that?
I publish my own stuff,
Oh, self-published.
and I
Okay.
support authors that like to publish, indie artists who like to self publish.
Mm-hmm.
Most indie artists don't use publishers because the demands and the constrictions and some of that, the timelines sometimes are too constricted, or if you got a publisher that will pay you up front, then you already sold the rights to not only your project, but to the individuality or the creative uh, proprietary information for it. So, you,
Wait a minute. Can you talk a little bit more about that? When you sign up with a publisher, you're giving away your rights to your book?
yeah, once you sign a contract with them and they pay you whatever fee they're going to pay you, then
Uh-huh.
you are beholden to their deadline when they need you to finish the project.
So what happens to those authors who get writer's block and then they start freaking out? I mean, is that true in the movies when you see the writers in the movies and they're like, "Oh my God, I have to finish this book. I have to do, I have to find some way to get motivated to complete this project because my publisher is breathing down my neck." That actually happens?
That is real. That is real.
Wow.
Unless you have made enough funding or you got enough funding to where you can you know give them back their money or whatever, or how far along in the process, you know, yeah,
Oh, you would have to give the
it's just
publisher
like
back
any other artist when you
if you get fronted money.
yeah, when you sign a contract and they give you money, and like you hear about artists trying to buy back
Their music rights.
their rights and stuff like that. It's the
Uh-huh.
same thing with your publishing rights.
Okay.
So you have to buy that stuff back.
So when you're self-published, you control everything. You control distribution, you control like advertising on social media, you control the rights and keep the rights to your books.
Mhm.
Does it matter what service you do sales through? I mean, do some services, can you talk about the services that you can sell your books through? I know
Well,
you have a website and you also do Amazon, but what other services would authors be able to put their books out
well,
to
you
get
have like
sales?
you got the Barnes and Nobles, you got like Draft to Digital,
Mm-hmm.
and small, and companies like that will you publish your book through them, and they'll for a fee they'll create your book, whether it's a soft cover or a hard cover. They
Mm-hmm.
will you know reproduce the book and send it off to whoever you need them to send it to, and they'll whatever the charge for production and sending it off will be deducted from whatever your
Your
royalties
growth,
is going to
your
be.
oh, royalties. Okay. So talk to me about royalties. How do you get royalties? And how long would you keep getting royalties? Is it for as long as your book sells?
As long as people are still buying your book, you'll
Mhm.
get some royalties, and minus whatever the cost of reproduction and marketing or selling it is would be your royalty. But you just have to sell a lot of books at a specific price to be able to hit that price point. Where some people are selling books for like 50 to $80. They're getting bigger returns if they're selling like 1,000 books within a month. But
Mhm.
it's all a numbers game.
So the majority of those large sales that I've seen come from large publishing houses.
Hmm.
Is there a publishing house that you would work with in the future?
Well, I know you had provided me a resource for Odyssey Media Publishing, which is a
Mhm.
Black-owned publishing company. I
Mhm.
would definitely do business with them, and I've seen their requirements and things of that nature. So it's just a matter of producing the product and going through the process. But sometimes you can go through the entire process, and they can whatever their analytics are on there, and will decide, well, we don't think your book is going to sell enough to be able to break even or recruit the initial investment that went into, marketing, publishing, and reproducing the book. And, they're either just say, no, we're not interested, or they just won't say anything, just won't respond. So I think that's some of the horror stories of being a writer goes into effect. And, even when you are dealing with maybe newsletters or online publishers, it's the same thing. They'll either accept your pitch or your idea, or they won't. And sometimes it'll take at least 12 to 20 pitches to get one response.
Oh, well, that's actually pretty good. A lot of entertainers have to pitch their music and their writing to a lot more than that. 12 to 15 sounds low.
And I think it's just a matter of the source and the medium is who you pitch it to, and
Is
what
it
type
also
of influence they have. So
is it the genre that you write in as well? I mean, do you have to specify like which publishing houses would be better suited for whatever style you're writing in? Like if you're writing a horror book or a horror novel series or a romance novel or like an erotica series, do you have to have different publishers for different types of writing?
Well, that's good. You definitely want to find a publisher that has been successful and promoting your genre. If they're if the majority of their bestsellers have been horror books, then you want them to publish your horror book.
Okay.
If your story meets the criteria of what they're used to publishing and promoting, then you go with that publisher. But
Gotcha.
then, that's hit and miss, because a lot of times when, a publisher may like your story, but they don't have a history of being successful and promoting those books, then, they just want to pretty much, either gain the rights to your property or just, get the investment from you for your ad budget or whatever, even though they may not be the right source or the medium to promote your book. So you got to do a lot of research up front to find out, who would be the best resource for your specific genre and what their history are, because a lot of times they're looking at your history too. And a lot of these more established publishers don't really want to take a chance on new authors. So you kind of got to work your social proof and your credibility up through the different ranks. So if they go on your social media or the web and find that, you do have some followership, you do have some type of presence, social media presence, then they'll take a chance on you. But if you are just new to writing, you don't have anything in social media, no websites or anything out there, any type of presence, you can kind of grind and make yourself known before you go after one of those large scale publishers. But I would say, one thing about Amazon, you can be fresh out the blue, writing the book, and get Amazon to publish your book on Amazon, and to get you out there. There's no guarantee that your book sales will grow doing Amazon, but at least they'll give you a shot to get out there. And the only challenge that I saw with Amazon is that a lot of times, you see your book being sold, but you can't necessarily identify who bought your book and how to interact with them. You may see reviews and the star reviews on your book as to how many people wrote your book, but you still don't have any type of contact information to engage them to get more sales.
Okay, I have a question for you. There's that one guy who writes these like my girl got cockroaches, or like my baby mama and my side piece hooked up. Who is that guy they're 99-cent novels, and everybody was making jokes about them on social media. Do you remember who that author was?
I don't remember, but I know those are like little one-offs where they make these little micro novels or whatever, where they just
Uh-huh.
write stuff that could be transferred from a book to social media to a small skit on Tubi or something like that.
Uh-huh. It's like those were the most hood rat books that I have seen.
And then that 99 cents adds up too. A lot of people,
Yeah,
oh, yeah,
he's made a lot of money. He's
yeah.
had a lot of sales.
Mm-hmm.
He's had millions of sales on his books, hasn't he?
Yeah, he's
Crazy,
yeah,
crazy. So
he's
you can just
big
write
to that audience.
anything, and there's an audience for every kind
Yeah,
of genre that you
yep.
could possibly think of.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, awesome. So, what? Speaking of genres, if you could write a series and be known for the characters in the story, what would it be about?
It would definitely be like it'll definitely be some type of crime mystery type international thing.
Now, what attracted you to the crime thriller espionage type of books?
Well, I want, one being in the military, and
Mhm.
two reading, these books like from James Patterson and his Alex Cross series, where
Mhm. Those
crime,
are good books too.
espionage, and things of that nature. So,
Yeah.
the Jason Bourne series and things of that nature. So it kind of get that little tint of mystery, and
Mhm.
dealing with governments, things of that nature. But that's something that I write for the fun of writing. And
Well, your book is easy to read. Um, and it seems like you took a lot of care towards your characters in the book. So I look forward to reading more novels that you come out with, especially on TikTok. So it's my understanding, Tales of the Blood Seed Revenge. Tales of the Blood Seeds Revenge is the next one that's going to be coming out.
hmm
Correct. That's your chapter 12.
hmm
Okay. And when can we look forward to that book coming out?
oh, I don't know, but I'm definitely gonna go hard into this project the beginning of the year.
Mm-hmm.
So typically I like to give myself a 6 month period from planning, writing to publishing.
Mm-hmm.
So I would say late summer next year would be the earliest.
So August, September timeframe.
July, August, yeah, in that
Okay.
range.
Okay. Perfect. Thank you. Um, who gives you inspiration? I know you talked about James Patterson. Is he one of the authors that kind of inspires you to write about your government suspense thrillers?
Well, the funny it's funny you would ask that. Actually, my inspiration doesn't really come from strict writers per se. More like
Mhm.
um, movie script writers. So things like Spike Lee is my favorite person. Writing, producing, directing,
Mhm.
and Antoine Fuqua, who was the director of Training Day with Denzel
Mhm.
Washington.
Yeah, that was a good
uh,
movie.
Casey, who wrote the script for that movie. So I yeah, so I like Fuqua. Then of course, John Singleton
Mm-hmm.
was the first Black writer, producer, director person that I had known of to be in the movies back when he did Boys in the Hood.
Boys in the Hood, yes.
Yeah, so I
Classic.
I kind of like those guys, and I definitely, to some extent, I do like Tyler Perry because he writes to a specific audience,
Yep.
and his audience have blessed him
Tremendously.
Yeah,
Yes. And he supports
he's not a millionaire owning a lot of stuff for nothing. His
right.
love what he writes.
Yeah.
And, I like some of his stuff too.
So do you think you would get into script writing?
Oh, most definitely. That's one of my writing milestones is to be able to write a book, a screenplay, a movie script, and a play.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
We would have all three.
Yeah. Just to see basically where my joy in writing is.
Mm-hmm.
I know, writing in my public health field is necessary, and I do that just for the sake of keeping,
but it's
my audience, educated and informed.
Mm-hmm.
So I put out an article at least once a week on those different platforms about, health, lifestyles, health disparities, social justice. So, I'm just always going to do that for the sake of, doing it and informing and making sure my people are aware of what's going on in the healthcare space or the public health space, that is.
Okay.
But, when I'm really feeling, creative and motivated and inspiring, then I'll get in and start writing some nonfiction.
Nonfiction is very inspiring. It gets your creative juices flowing. It keeps your imagination vivid, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so yes, I'm loving the nonfiction books from you. Although your public health books are pretty good too. I do have to give it to you, and I enjoy your posts on LinkedIn because the information, the articles that you're writing, it's written in a way that people can identify with what you're writing about. It's not overtly collegiate, even though you are using big words in there. You have to use medical terminology, and you talk about public health and community awareness and these types of things, and especially things that affect your last article, the career progression of Black women, and the big 300,000 Black women were kicked out of the job market recently. Over 300,000. It was around 400,000. And so your article touches on that in the public health aspect of women not having income or not being part of working society, and then those women going on to build their own businesses, which is, I'm still employed even though I'm furloughed, but I am actively creating my own lane in the entertainment field because I don't think that there's going to be in the coming years space for me to be employed where I'm at. Things are changing rapidly. So we need writers like you who are bringing awareness to these community issues that we're having as women, that we're having as Black people, that we're having as quote unquote minorities, which we're not minorities. I hate that term, but I appreciate your writing. So keep going. I will support you. I know there are lots of your friends and people who follow you on social media that support you. They love what you're doing. They love the novel. I love the book. So with that said, I do want to ask you another couple of questions. If you could give advice and guidance to aspiring writers, what would it be?
I would tell the writer to write the thing that you're most inspired to write and be consistent in your growth. And if you
Consistency. Yes.
find that you can't be consistent or stay inspired, then find something else to write about or do something other than writing. If you find that, it's something that you are interested in but not really motivated to pursue seriously, then if it's a hobby, that's fine. A lot of people find writing and journaling to be therapeutic.
Mm-hmm.
So they do it as a hobby because it allows them to release and decompress. So if that's what writing is to you, then that is great too, because everybody has their reasons for why they write and get their own benefits out of it. So ask yourself what it is that you look to get out of writing, because regardless of whether you write a book or sign your name, you always gonna have to write something in life. Even if it's just filling out those forms for your doctor's appointments, you got to write something.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I'll also say that looking at most of the women in my age group, they've been in corporate America or working for the government or being in their positions for 30 plus years, and they're like senior execs with so much mastery and so much experience. And now we've come to a point where it's not respected and it's become a threat. So
Mm-hmm.
I say take that mastery and experience and create your own thing, build your own table, and leverage it and use it to your advantage, because I guarantee the people that you've been serving and working with already know your worth, and they'll be willing to pay you for it.
You heard that. The people that you're working around already know your worth. Make sure, if you are an aspiring writer, reach out to Ryan. His links will be posted in the captions on this YouTube video. Thank you so much. I have one last question for you, and this is kind of a fun one. I just want to see what you're going to say. Okay, you ready?
Okay.
Okay. I know you're married, but who would be your dream date if you weren't?
My dream date.
Your dream date.
Whoa,
Like
whoa,
you can
whoa.
take anybody out on a
Hey,
romantic evening.
anybody besides my wife?
Anybody besides your wife. Yes.
Oh man. My dream date. The most.
Did I stump you?
That's
Oh my
interesting.
goodness. I stumped
That's interesting, because I haven't been really
anybody.
focus into that
Anybody at all.
if
Dead,
if
alive,
my
anybody. Your
dream
dream date.
my dream date would probably be it'd be either Marsha Ambrosius
Mm-hmm.
or Felicia Rashad.
Now, okay, Miss Felicia is still absolutely gorgeous.
That is the finest 70-something-year-old woman.
Wow. She is, her and Debbie Allen, they are aging so beautifully, and they're still just amazing women. Marsha, okay. Yeah. Marsha, her voice and just how she moves, and how she works a crowd at concerts, and just she seems like a beautiful woman as well. So I could understand. Now, what would the date be? Like, what would you do on the date?
It would be something like cultural, like because I'm a bass player too. So I love live jazz.
Okay, jazz club, classy, sexy, sophisticated. That would I would love to have someone take me on a jazz date.
And it would be, you know, and I'm taking you to the little floor, but it would be something with a little mixture of live jazz and some spoken word.
Oh, okay. So you would take me out on a date?
Mm-hmm.
Live
Live jazz
jazz?
and spoken word.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right. Maybe we could go back to your place afterwards. By the way, y'all, we are married. This is my husband. Just don't want nobody saying anything like, ooh, what? Yes, this is my husband, everyone. Thank you so much. I really appreciate your time. Thank you for being my first interviewee. This has been a lot of fun. Thank you all for tuning in. You are watching my show from A to Zoe. Thank you and have a great day. I'll see you later, babe.
All right.
All right.
Bye.
Bye.